Hi, Mike Phillips here, and tonight I'm going to be talking about genuine caring. Hey, Mike Phillips here, and like I said, tonight I want to talk about genuine caring. I want to talk about actually putting other people first and caring about them. Especially, and a lot of people that will tune into this are salespeople, sales or marketing people. And one of the things that I teach regularly to the salespeople that work alongside me is that there's not a replacement for genuinely caring about another person. If you are putting yourself out there and really taking the time to listen to what a customer's needs are, what their concerns are, what you can do to help them move forward in a process, there's nothing you can do. You've all heard the saying, oh, well, I'm just going to baffle them with BS, right, until I can make it through it. That really doesn't work in today's environment. With all the social media and the internet and all the things going on, there is so much baffling with BS going on. I mean, it's in everybody's everyday lives that it's just people are constantly saying things about themselves that aren't true, about other people that aren't true. And so if you take a minute just to slow down and really invest, look the other person in the eye or in the eyes and spend the time to listen. I said in one of my other videos, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? We've all heard that saying. It's certainly not anything new, but you should be listening twice as much as you're speaking. And when I'm saying that's one, for me, one of the first and foremost ways that you can show you genuinely care about somebody else is to listen to what their needs, their wants, their desires, what it is that they're presenting to you. And what happens often, and for myself, I've had to train myself this also, and I learned it from a mentor of mine, that if you are constantly in your head thinking of what your next response is going to be, you can't truly be investing and listening to the other person. So without any regard of what you're going to say next or what's about to come out of your mouth, I would encourage you just stop and listen. Just take it in. Because there can be so much value in listening to somebody else, and you don't really know where they're at in their life. If you think about it, we're all moving so fast, with social media and crowding in populated areas. It's off the wall. I was talking with my wife this afternoon, and it is so crazy. If you think about it, you go to the grocery store, right? If you go to Walmart or you go to King Soopers or wherever it is that you do your shopping at, there are people that are moving so fast, and there's all that they're worried about is how quickly and efficiently they can make it through the store. They're not worried about the other people around them. And if you slow down and watch those people for just a minute, and it's like, oh my goodness, everybody in today's society is so worried about speed and what's in it for me. You don't know what that person's going through in their life. Think about you get road rage in the grocery store. That's what it is, right? You're stuck behind the other cart and you're like, oh my goodness, could they just hurry up? And if you just slow down for a second, you don't know what that person's going through in their life. You don't know what happened to them earlier today. You don't know. Obviously, they're not intentionally slowing their cart down like, woo, slow it down so that I can annoy the guy or the gal behind me. That's not the case. They're just taking in what's important to them at the moment, cruising through the grocery store, trying to accomplish a simple task. And so my message today is simply just slow down, listen to other people, see what it is that they are, or listen to what it is that they're going through. And when this comes to sales and marketing, it's one of those things, and I currently work in a BDC center, and we are constantly moving really, really fast, and we are constantly taking the same call. A customer calls in, says, hey, what's the price of this vehicle? Or a customer calls in and says, hey, is this car still available? And I'm a big fan of scripting, right? So our sales staff, our BDC staff, the people that are on the phones, have a script to be able to follow through and navigate the person through to a successful and efficient phone call. And what we don't realize is about the 100th time or the 200th time that we've presented that same phone call, because it's like, oh my gosh, I just want to gag myself. But the reality is, while you've presented it 100 times or 200 times or 500 or 1,000, if you're an expert in your field, you've proceeded through that process maybe thousands of times. And you start to think, man, this gets really mundane. This is like the same thing over and over again. But to really genuinely care about somebody, let me put this in perspective for you. This is the first time the customers heard it, right? It's like going to a Broadway play. If you're going to a Broadway play, how many times does that show on Broadway? Hundreds, right? And if you're showing up, you paid for the ticket to fly there, to buy the ticket to the play, probably the hotel stay, the whole deal. You want the best, just most awesome kick butt show that you've seen, regardless of how many times that person has put the show on. And so just, that's one of those things about caring about other people. When you're performing efficiently and you're performing brilliantly, even at your basic tasks, that's one of those things that will demonstrate to the person, hey, I care about you, right? I care about how efficient you're able to make it through this process. I care about listening to you and making sure that I perform and produce excellently so that you can receive an excellent result, product, or service. So my message today, like I said at the very onset, is make sure that you are taking the time to slow down. Perform whatever it is that you're doing, if it's in sales or BDC, if you're in management and you're trying to train your staff. Let me give you an example of this. If you're in management and you are effective at a skill, the reason you're in management is because you can perform and produce skills at a higher level than the people that are working, I say working with you, but the people that are working for you. A manager is able to perform skills at a higher level than what their staff is. And so the thing is, when you're trying to recreate that skill with your staff member and you're saying, look, here's how you do it, I've watched so many managers that get really frustrated and they say, well, yeah, no, I really care about people, but I just don't understand why they don't get it. Well, if that staff member got it, they'd be in your position. So to genuinely care about them, you have to slow down and not just present it in the way that you learn and are able to present that to them, but in a way that you believe they'll learn. You know, if you're a visual learner, for example, you say, okay, well, I can write it down and I can see it in front of me, and that's how I learn, so that's how everybody should learn. That doesn't work. You know, that person may need to hear you present it. They may need to see you do it besides having it written down. They may need to see how it makes them feel, right? To determine if it's a skill that they want to have expertise in, or that they're able to have expertise in. They may learn it differently. So when we're talking about caring about people, there's so many different ways, from a sales or a phone center representative perspective. You know, phone center representatives, I'm telling you, they have one of the most repetitive tasks, and they take that same call from hundreds and maybe thousands of people, and I don't think they switch places and realize, look, I may have presented this 1,000 times, but this customer, all they want to know is the answer to their one question. And so you've got to slow down and answer that one question. In management, you have to slow down and teach it the way that the person learning is conducive to being taught. If you're in the grocery store, sometimes maybe you just move out of the way and let somebody go on by. You know, it's just unbelievable in our society how many people are wrapped up in themselves. My wife says all the time, and this is, I'm going to kind of close on this. My wife says all the time to my kid, and I think kids in our society especially, we talk about that millennial generation, the youth of today, how wound up they are in themselves. You know, they've got all the selfies and the social networks and they've got all the stuff, right? And Uh, One thing, and God bless my wife, she is absolutely just phenomenal. And she always reminds our kids, like when we're dropping them off, my daughter, we drop her off to the daycare at our fitness center at our gym. And the last thing she always says to her, obviously we tell her, be good and have fun and we love you. The last piece that she always leaves our kids with, and my son's the same way. We drop him off at gymnastics. My older son, when he's headed for football, I always bring my family into these, right? But she always reminds him, hey, just make sure and look out for other people and be kind. It's not hard to be kind if that's something that's on your top of mind. If you have a top of mind awareness about putting other people first and being kind and caring about other people, it's not so hard. But we get so wound up in what's going on in our lives, where we have to be, what we have to do, what's going on our social networks, how many followers do we have, who's responded, what did they say, all of those things, and it just becomes absolutely overwhelming. It's hard to focus on other people because there's so much coming at us. So with all of that, for everybody who's taken the time to tune in, I sure appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to keep putting out more video content, and I'm thinking about rebooting my podcast. So please subscribe to my channel. I'll keep you posted. I want to keep talking about positive, motivating, pumped up, high energy, just good things that real and regular people can use. We need that, in my opinion. Of course, that's my opinion. I'm here talking with you. We need that right now. So please subscribe to my channel. Please feel free to leave some comments below. I'd sure appreciate it. And until I see you next time, be excellent. Be kind to your neighbors and the fellow people that are around you. Just care about people. And thank you so much again for tuning in. Have a great evening.